All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Katrina Kibben. I'm the managing editor for Recruiting Daily. Thanks for joining our demo today of Elevated Careers. You're taking a look at our title slide, and we promise to jump right in soon. But before we get started, I want to go over 2 tips for using GoToWebinar, and then I'll hand it over to kick things off. The first thing is your audio. By default, you've joined listening through your computer speaker system. If you hear any, slow or mechanical noises, it's probably because your internet isn't keeping up with the audio. So just click on that audio tab, click phone call, and it'll give you all the information you need to dial in. Second, how you participate. So all of you are in listen-only mode also by default. So in plain English, that means you will not have the ability to speak directly with our presenters, but you can ask as many questions as you want, and I'll be your filter. To ask a question, just click on Questions. It's 2 down from the audio pane, and type in your question and click Send. At the end, we'll do a live Q&A, time permitting, and take as many questions as we can. But please don't worry, if you don't get your specific question answered, we will follow up with each and every one of you after this webinar. And we'll have someone from the Elevated team follow up as well to answer any of your highly technical questions. So please don't hesitate to share. And don't worry if you can't stay until the end. We will send a copy of this recording within 48 hours of the event. Thank you to both Crystal and William for taking the time to do this demo. And on that note, I'm going to be quiet and let you two take it from here.
Great, thank you. So I guess, do we need to introduce ourselves, William, or do you think we're infamous enough we can just start?
I'm going to assume that people know both of us because we live our lives fairly socially, fairly transparently. So let's just assume that they know us. But if you don't know us, we apologize in advance for being, I guess, a bit arrogant. So yeah, let's not do introductions.
Right on, that works. Well, let's jump right in. So I guess it probably would be fair to introduce how we know Elevated Careers. In full disclosure, Elevated Careers is a client of mine. I do work with HR technology companies as well as corporate clients on their employer branding and talent attraction. And I actually fell in love with Elevated Careers a couple of years ago before they even hit beta with some of the stuff that you're going to see today, and I can tell you how it kind of fits in. William's one of the advisors on the advisory board for the product. Anyway, you'll see why we love it. So, what is Elevated Careers? Elevated Careers was the brainchild of Dan Erickson and Dr. Warren and EHARMONY. And basically what they said was they know there's a better way to help people not only just love what they do, but love where they do it. Because when we leave jobs, we're leaving jobs, not necessarily employers, not necessarily the career that we've chosen for ourselves. So they put the predictive science behind their matching technology to work and just basically geared it towards the world of work to be able to match people with compatible employers against skills, personality, and these cultural compatibility dimensions that we'll see here in just a minute. And the way that they work with organizations is by surveying the company and pulling out what's really an in-depth culture scorecard. So this is going to let you know which of the 16 dimensions of cultural compatibility are present, and like what levels are they present in your workplace, what are the primary drivers for your organization, both positive and negative, how you can actually affect positive change in your employees' engagement and productivity. There's a lot of cool info there. Also, that can all be used in your employer branding and recruitment marketing messages, but it'll also give you your ideal hiring profile. So in addition to skills, which I think most of us recruiters or have people who have been recruiters know how to look for skills, they'll show you which personality drivers and which dimensions of compatibility are really in an employee to be able to be successful. And that's really, in a 50,000 foot overview, that's what they do, and here's the software that helps them do it. So the first thing in getting started is, again, that company culture scorecard. And they need that to create your ideal hiring profile. This scorecard addresses employer branding, culture identification, transformation, engagement factors, And when you hire according to this profile, the net is a reduction in what's called regrettable turnover. Now, some of you are probably wondering, what's regrettable turnover? What that is it's the attrition level of voluntary turnover. It's the people you didn't want to leave, who leave your organization anyway, because again, people leave employers, they leave situations, bad bosses, bad team fits, bad culture fits. It's not so much good culture, bad culture, it's who fits. So we regret that turnover on occasion because we need those people to be able to get the business that we need done. If they had been hired into an employer where they were compatible, or sorry, in an employment situation where they were compatible, that probably wouldn't be a problem. So using this actually helps reduce regrettable turnover. So let's look at what that report looks like. When we go in and survey a company, or when Elevated goes in to survey a company, what they do is provide the employees with a short survey. It's like 5 to 7 minutes. I think somebody took 8 minutes filling it out once. It takes a week to survey an organization. Now that's the actual execution of the survey, right? So the company would send a list of all of the employees they want surveyed. That might be a whole company, that might be a division, but the bottom line is they send us who they want surveyed. Dr. Steve Carter and his research team, they actually conduct the survey unless the employer wants to do it on their own, in which case they're just sent a bunch of links for the number of employees they need to survey from the research team. And 8 days later, they start to compile the results. It takes about 2 weeks to get the results compiled, and what they get is something that looks a little bit like this. So this is a sample engagement report, and it's actually based off of a real engagement report, but the company names have been redacted. So it'll explain the process, it'll show you the 16 key value and culture factors that I mentioned earlier. And when you look at culture, what you're really looking at is the overlap of employee values and employer values. So what the company believes, values, and promotes, and how that overlaps with what the employee values and holds dear in terms of their employment. So these are the first 8. You can go through and look at the second 8 here, and if again, you'll get a copy of this so you can dive into it a little bit further after the webinar. But we go through in the report and explain all of those things. And then we show, or the report shows, what are the most powerful drivers of engagement at your company. For this particular company, their top 3 drivers were responsibility, goal orientation, and high performance. And so then it'll explain how that actually creates higher engagement in your employees. And then what are the negative influences? So for this particular company, communication, trusting, and innovation are causing the strongest negative influence on current employee engagement. And that's important for you guys to know. I mean, obviously HR wants to know these things for culture transformation reasons and to help improve productivity, but even from a recruiting perspective, it's really good to know, because if you've got an area, a company that's low on communication, for example, and there are several companies like that, you know, hiring people who have high communication needs might not be the best fit for your organization unless you're trying to create some sort of transformational change. So this is like the secret sauce of what makes your company work, and what you really want this for is to be able to gauge, you know, how likely someone is to succeed in your organization. You get that advanced knowledge. It stops being a gut feel, which I don't know about you guys, but I did recruiting for years, and you know, I always said I relied on my gut, and my gut was good. I mean, I knew what I'm sure you guys do too, but it's still an educated guess. This removes the guesswork and uses science, which personally is fascinating. Then it goes on to tell you, okay, so now that you know the positive and negative drivers of your organization, what's your actual employee hiring profile look like? What do you need to be looking for? For this company, they're focusing on candidates who show strong orientation, or strong values, orientation, structure, responsible, high performance. By hiring people with high scores in those profiles who also fit the skills that are necessary to do the job, then they're more likely to have strong engagement, loyalty, and lower attrition rates. Then it'll show you what your company looks like, what your overall engagement is, what do your employees value the most, how does the company compare, and so what this is, and this is kind of cool, part of the survey is asking from the perspective, what do you see that the company values? So this isn't something that was like handed down on an ivory tower. When you see a lot of culture reports or employer value propositions, it's really data sets that are given by leadership saying, this is what our company is, this is what we believe, and this is what we value. The problem is that's coming from a leadership that doesn't experience it on the same level that rank and file employees do. And so being able to get, the staff, employees, and middle layers of management in on this kind of survey, for them to be able to say, this is what we live, this is our working reality, here's what we see the company values, is truly rare. And then it'll show you where your company is strongest. So it gives you an idea on things that you should be writing in your messaging. It'll show you all 16 values and where your employees rank. So, for example, in this company, daily perks, not something that's terribly important from an employee value perspective, when it's compared to things like high performance, communication, and engagement and stability. Those would be the top 4 for this company. They really care about those things. As a smart recruitment marketer, I'm probably going to craft messages that touch on our ability to deliver those things. Now, when you look at the company culture, it shows how well this particular company can deliver on each of those values. And again, would show you not only what messages to write in terms of things you do well, your strengths as an organization, but also where you might want to create some subtle counter hooks in your messaging to really, for people who are looking for high levels of balance or really need a lot of predictability, writing messages that say things like, your work changes day to day, or you never know what work's going to be like when you come in, but that excites you. For the right person, that's going to be a really cool recruitment marketing message. For the wrong person, for somebody who needs lots of stability and structure and predictability, that's going to be a turnoff. So even the areas where your company is maybe not as strong in the value set, even having that information can help you do your job in recruiting better. And then it'll show you how you fit across these 16 values. The green is what the employees value, and the blue is the perception of the company values. So you can see kind of where the overlap is. HR will really love that because they'll know where they need to do some work, or maybe celebrate areas that they're doing particularly well, or how they might want to change the culture. But again, you in recruiting, fantastic info for you because it'll help you in knowing what do you need to ask people about. Right? So where do you need to spend more time in your interview set? And again, with that hiring profile, who do you need to interview at all? It'll show you a detailed view of the most powerful drivers in your company. This is going to be something that's probably going to be bigger for your HR teams. So if you were doing a culture transformation project or needed to do culture marketing or even an EVP project, understanding the positive and negative dissonance in your organization and how you might be able to change that is important. So it'll go through that. It'll show you what would happen if you changed some of the, reduced some of the areas of dissonance in your company, how that can affect your performance. And then really you'll get to spend some time with the data science team making sure you understand all of that and how you might want to use it. It's a great opportunity for you to ask, like, what happens if we need to change a couple of dimensions? How does that change who we need to hire? They have a team there that can actually help you do it, and it's not just software salespeople who are also very knowledgeable, but those on staff that can help make sense of that data for you. Okay, once your survey's done, then you're ready to match. So if there's 2 ways to use the elevated system. There's the full platform, and then there's what we're effectively like integration. So what you can do is use this with your ATS system. You will be given survey links that you can send to candidates. Where you put that, whether that's before the point of apply and you have them take the elevated survey prior to actually having them apply, which we have a foundation partner that's their design, or after the point of application, but before you screen them, it's completely up to you. It's a really flexible process, and your salesperson works with you to be able to figure out what's best for your organization. But that survey link invites candidates to go and take the same well, not quite the same survey, but a very similar survey to what your employees take. And then that data gets fed back into the Elevated system. When they've finished a survey, you get a notification, you can log in and see the results. This is a screenshot of what that might actually look like. As more applicants apply and use the Elevated survey, your short list is built from those who match best using the overall compatibility ranking system. But that doesn't mean you can't see everybody, because you can. It'll show you from 94% or 99% down to 1% how people fit, and you can actually continue to survey or to interview them whether they fit or not, but at least you're forewarned. And by knowing how they fit, it kind of gives you a blueprint for the interview guide that you need to follow to be able to gain more information if they fit with your company. So again, this is just a screenshot of what that might look like. The candidates, when they take their survey, they also get a candidate compatibility report, which is cool. So this is what you'd see on your end. How do they fit with the culture, the skills, the personality? Let's dive into that a little further. So you'd log in, you'd see that person's information, you'd be able to click and see their resume if they were in the full system. The resume had been uploaded. If the resume is in your ATS system, you won't see that. You'll just see the profile compatibility. In this particular instance, this person is very compatible with a high likelihood of job satisfaction. You'll be able to see how they fit your highest and lowest drivers within your organization, driver by driver, where they score, and then why that makes up their overall score on culture, and then skills fit, and then personality. Now the personality bit, you have to have surveyed your managers. So we map to, you can actually create kind of a flat organizational chart with Elevated Careers and map to the managers that you're hiring for, and it'll show you how they fit in with that manager. Now, as they're taking this and they get information to you, they get information back as well. So for example, in this one, Austin would be able to see, here's how he fits against your company, which creates a better candidate experience because now he has information which is good for him too. And then you have it as well. It's a transparency moment. If you're using the full platform, you're able to upload unlimited job listings. So you'll see a complete list of the job listings that you have on the site and anybody who applies to it and how they might fit. You can actually even communicate with candidates directly through the system and then see how they fit. When you're sourcing through the system, you'll be able to look through fit percentage based off of overall compatibility, personality, or skills as you've defined them. So I mean, that's it. There's not really a lot of, I don't want to say a lot to it. I guess there is a lot to it, but it's a pretty simple system to use. It's very intuitive, user-friendly, and the team that is working with you is really second to none. So some of the things that you can do in a recap is just, get better fit through science instead of your gut, which will help you reduce turnover, lower your talent acquisition spend, and improve your hiring process. And the only thing that I didn't mention on there that I think is probably worth mentioning is in the full platform experience, if you are looking to do any kind of targeted talent acquisition, you can actually work with the team, the Elevated team, on targeted acquisition, so that you're getting the kinds of candidates that you need to be able to fill your jobs. So I'm not a salesperson, so I want to make sure that I've got everything that you might want to know about. Do you guys have questions?
That's your cue, people. If you have any specific questions about your brand, I promise to whitewash and remove your name if you don't want me to mention who you are or what you're working on. One question that came in was specifically around the perspective of, your candidates are your customers. So can you talk a little bit more about the candidate experience metrics that come out of this and how that translates into that?
Sure. Well, I can talk about a couple of, yes, I can address that in a couple of ways. One is, traditionally, we have put everyone through the same recruitment experience. You got to go all the way through and invest hours and hours and hours on both sides, employers and employees, or candidates, to figure out if there's a fit there. And it's really frustrating for candidates when they apply and they hear nothing, right, for weeks and weeks on end, sometimes months. Elevated can actually help bridge the short-term gap there for after the apply process. If you placed the survey after the point of apply, but before moving to the next step, one of the things Elevated is actually able to do is customize messaging to candidates saying, congratulations, your resume's been received, and team or the hiring manager, however you want to word that, would like you to take this Elevated survey, or you're invited to take it. They'd like to know more about your skills, and they'd like you to learn a little more about their company. So you're giving something back to the candidates, not only in terms of whether or not they fit your company, because they'll get that report showing their own work values and how they may fit with your company, but also communication, which is just something they don't get. It improves the candidates. If you're looking at candidates that may also be your customers, that's really important. And then from a larger perspective, if your candidates are not the right fit, but they are also their customers, being able to discern that early in the process instead of after multiple interviews, then doing that personality assessment or something like that says, nope, they don't fit in with what we're looking for. That's so frustrating. It's so frustrating for them, and it really creates a negative experience. And so if you can do that up front and find out that yes, they do fit or no, they don't, and be able to close that loop with dignity before they get too emotionally invested in the process, you really do improve their overall opinion of you as an employer. And so
I think we may
anything
have
else?
lost Crystal. Okay, there we go. We had a little gap in your audio.
Oh, sorry. I think I was just quiet. Sorry. William, is there anything that you think needs to be added there?
Yeah, I think sometimes people at least ask the question of why. Why would you go through this? Why would you do it? And I think that if you think about it like a used car, when you inherit a used car, you buy a used car, if the person that before you didn't service it correctly, they didn't use the right gas, or they didn't take it in for oil changes, etc., you inherit their problems. Well, if we look at the value chain of recruiting to HR, so you got sourcing, recruiting, and then all the way through onboarding, all the way to outplacement, the problems that we deal with in HR are generally things that we could have fixed had we gotten sourcing and recruiting right. And so if you find yourself asking the question of, well, why would we do this? Why would we care about fit at the level that we need to care about it? Well, that essentially fixes and helps to fix engagement, things like employee engagement, the retention of your best employees. And so it becomes easier there if we get fit right first. So Crystal's done a wonderful job of explaining kind of the technically why you would want to do this, and especially as it relates to customers and things like that. But I would tell you that there's a longer story, there's a longer tale to why we care about and why we should invest almost disproportionately in fit in the recruiting process, because if we get it right, we're actually making our life better and easier down the road. Those headaches that come up, most of them wouldn't come up if we get fit right. So things that we deal with in HR, if we want our time back, which is a barrier to a lot of us in terms of being strategic, if we want our time back, there's a way to get our time back. And it's obvious to me, and hopefully it's obvious to you as well, is that if we get fit right, when they first come in, we onboard them correctly, and we show them the amount of love that we showed them in the recruiting process. We do that for a longer period of time. Then our problems later on down the road, I'm not going to say they all go away. I think that would be that'd be incorrect, but they diminish. There's all that stuff that we deal with in HR on a day-to-day basis about dealing with employees and the drama and the things that just the little missteps. A lot of that stuff could have been corrected had we gotten fit right. So people ask me, why did I get involved? That's one of the things, because I look at that global mission of if we get fit right, it actually helps HR reach their full potential and not be dealing with a lot of the things that they're currently dealing with. So I think that when you look at fit, you think about the investment into fit. It's a great investment. Every dollar that you invest there, you're going to receive an efficiency down the road. So I would add that.
That's a good add.
Cool. So I want to set expectations for the people on the call because, this isn't a very traditional webinar. It is a demo. We're walking right through the product. So, Crystal, can you give people an idea of what's going to happen next, who's going to reach out, that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I think I am not a salesperson, which is great. I'm more than happy to help if y'all have questions on, okay, how does this work in my specific company, or how do I use this for recruitment marketing or employer branding? But actually, the person that would be reaching out to you would be one of the account executives, either Alicia Goosis or Jane Riley. Both of them are pretty fantastic and fairly easy to reach. So if you have any questions, once they reach out to you, you can pretty much tap them at any time. So they'll reach out, find out if you have any questions, if there's anything you wanted to know or hear that maybe you didn't, offer to walk you through the site. And then from there, it's just a matter of asking questions about your organization. What are your challenges? And is it volume? Because sometimes volume is the problem, or more to the point, is it probably not volume? And is it more along the lines of, we have volume, we're looking for quality? Great. By understanding what your challenges are, they can help you figure out what the best solution is with the elevated product. For some customers, that's utilizing the culture scorecard. Maybe that's because they have an EVP project or culture transformation project that they're embarking on. And for others, it's really, no, we just need to figure out who we need to hire, and we want those people to stick, and we want them to stay, and we want them to be productive and happy. Great, there's the matching program. So they'll figure that out with you, walk you through your options, pricing, all of those things. Then from there, it's just, I guess, once the agreement's signed, then it's going into the survey phase. And, from Elevated side, that process takes about a week to get the survey executed, maybe 2 to 3 days to get it set up. So you're looking at less than 2 weeks' time, soup to nuts, to get the names from you guys. And it's really just how fast can you get them, the people that you need to survey, and how they fit within your org chart, who the manager is, so that all of those things can be set up in the system. They remarket if they're sending out the emails for the survey, they will send it out on a Tuesday. They do 4 remarketing emails to make sure that your employees have the opportunity to take that survey. They can do that through SMS or email. They can even do like a point of service iPad type setup, so they're pretty flexible in how that gets administered. And then it's just putting together your report. Your report really is a bespoke product. It's not something that a computer spits out. There's a research team with IOs and data analysts that go through the data and put together the report just for you and your workplace. And really, I think this is one of the areas that I fell in love with the product, because I do a lot of employer branding work. That's actually, my firm specializes in that. And so, we do EVPs, and this is part of what we put together for an EVP. That work takes me a significant amount of time to do, and being able to use tools like Elevated, I've been able to shrink that time down by several weeks, actually a couple months. So that's been helpful for me. But so they've got 2 different products there. The base product is, I'm kind of going past your question, Katrina, so you can stop me at any time, but their base product will show you your positive and negative engagement drivers and your ideal hiring profile. The full report is available for slightly more. It's an enhanced product, but that also gives you, again, time with the IO team to make sure you understand that data and how to utilize it in your organization.
Totally. And for anyone who's on the call and planning on, kind of getting buy-in on your team, and you want a copy of this demo, like I said at the beginning, I'll make sure that you get a copy of this within 24 hours, so you're able to start that conversation before the Elevated team reaches out. Just to round that out. And that's our time. Thank you, Crystal and William, for being here and walking us through the product. And thank you to everyone who's on right now. We'll be in touch really soon.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.